Hi, class. Every Friday, I'll pull together a summary of your readings for you. It would be good to listen to maybe on the drive home or if you take a walk. It'll just go over some of the main topics. It's a tool that I use a lot for my personal learning. It's called NotebookLM. You've probably heard of it. If not, I'll put a link down low that kind of explains how to use it. And if you find it useful, it might be a tool that you use for your future courses. All right, as always, I'm accessible. I'll put my phone number below as well. Feel free to text or call me. I really like teaching this course because it's expected that you're going to have questions. It's your first course. I love the exercises we're going to be doing and the plan that we're building together in this course. So if you need help from me, please don't hesitate to reach out and I'll be seeing you in the announcements.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to unpack critical insights, turning information into real understanding. And today we're talking to you, especially if you're maybe just starting out on your college journey. Perhaps you're in your very first course, something like Gen 101, developing skills and strategies for success, maybe with Professor Bond. If so, you probably know that feeling. It's exciting, definitely, but maybe also a little daunting. There's this whole new academic world opening up, and those first assignments, well, they can feel like a lot to get your head around all at once.
Oh, absolutely. It's a big shift, isn't it? A really significant transition. And getting a handle on those core ideas right from the get-go, that can honestly make the difference between feeling totally swamped and, really finding your footing. This isn't just about ticking boxes on assignments. It's really about equipping yourself for what's ahead.
Exactly. And that's pretty much our mission for this deep dive. We want to cut right to the chase, focusing on those very first materials you're likely encountering, specifically the strategies from developing a plan for success. We've pulled out the key bits from the text, the parts about planning, figuring out your values and priorities, setting goals. Think of this as like a personalized guide to quickly absorb the essential stuff you need to navigate this new academic space.
Right. And I think what often gets missed is how these, seemingly simple ideas are actually the foundation for everything else, for all your future academic growth and honestly personal growth too. They're not just some abstract concepts for syllabus. They are incredibly practical tools. So many people jump into new things, college included, and feel overwhelmed because they kind of skip these foundational steps. They don't realize how much energy they're actually wasting sort of fighting against themselves without that clarity.
That's a really powerful way to put it. Okay, so let's dig in. Our source material kicks off with this pretty strong statement. Planning and goal setting are paramount to success. It's not framed as just a helpful hint. It's presented as, well, fundamental. But how does that actually play out for a new college student day to day?
Well, it really boils down to being intentional, having a purpose. The
Mm,
text uses a great analogy. Think about taking a road trip. Very few people just start driving with absolutely no destination in mind, right? You need
mm.
to know where you're going to know if you've actually arrived. And you need a map or GPS these days to check you're heading the right way. Without that, you're basically just burning gas.
Hmm. That road trip analogy really clicks. It just makes sense. It highlights how much mental energy we can save just by having that initial clarity. Without it, you're constantly second-guessing, wondering, am I doing the right thing?
Great.
Aren't you? But what about those times in college when, even with a goal, maybe a degree, you still feel like you're driving aimlessly sometimes? How do these planning tools specifically help someone who feels, maybe a bit lost or overwhelmed after they've already started?
That's where the planning acts as both your map and your compass, guiding you through those moments. It helps you break down that big, potentially overwhelming destination, like your college degree, into smaller, much more manageable steps, like legs of the journey. The text offers another really vivid analogy here. Putting together a jigsaw puzzle. Imagine trying to solve a puzzle, but it's face down. All you see is the plain cardboard backing.
It's incredibly difficult, right? You might eventually stumble upon pieces that fit through sheer trial and error, but it would take forever, and honestly, it'd be incredibly frustrating. Yeah, that puzzle picture is so clear, doing it face down. Ugh. It makes me wonder, though, what's the biggest mistake people make when they're trying to solve their academic puzzle face down, so to speak? Is it just about wasting time, or is there, like, a deeper kind of frustration involved?
It's definitely both. But I think the core frustration often comes from not feeling like you're making any real progress. If you don't have that picture on the box lid, the goal, or a plan for how to approach it, you just can't tell if you're getting anywhere. The source material argues that trying to do anything significant without goals and a plan is exactly like that upside-down puzzle. You might possibly get there eventually, but it'll take way longer, and you'll probably feel pretty adrift and discouraged along the way. Goals and plans, they give you that crucial feedback loop. Am I on track? Okay, great. Maybe time to celebrate a small win. Or, maybe I need to adjust my strategy here.
Okay. So planning and goals are the map, the puzzle picture. Got it. But where do we even start building this map? How do we find the picture? The source says the journey of achieving success in college begins with a single step: identifying your personal values. This feels really foundational, like digging down to the bedrock.
It really is. And what's often underestimated about values is just how much they influence everything. The text defines them as your core beliefs and guiding principles. They aren't just abstract ideas you might list somewhere. They subtly, and sometimes quite powerfully, shape all your choices. The roles you take on, what interests you, what you're passionate about, even your thoughts and the words you actually use. They act as your true compass for making decisions, big and small. They influence your attitudes and your actions. And if you ignore them, you risk feeling disconnected, maybe even burning out, even if you're achieving things on the surface.
A compass. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a perfect way to think about it. It makes me think about times maybe you've made a decision and later thought, ugh, why did I do that? The source actually prompts us to consider, did you take a moment to think about your values before making that choice? Sometimes we feel pressured or we just react, but knowing what you truly value helps you stay centered, even when things get busy or stressful.
And that naturally leads to the question, okay, how do I actually figure out what my values are? It's not always obvious. The text helpfully includes a practical exercise called Try It, determining your values. It encourages some real self-reflection. It even gives a starting list of examples to get you thinking things like achievement, health, family, independence, loyalty, making a difference.
Security, success, understanding. Yeah, I see that.
Exactly. A whole range of things.
Right. And the exercise encourages you to pick maybe the top 5 that really resonate with you. Or think about which ones consistently bring you the most happiness or pride when you live by them. And then this is the key part, I think, reflect on how those specific values have actually shown up in your recent decisions.
Yeah.
It's about connecting the dots between the idea of a value and your real life, seeing them in action.
Precisely. It makes them tangible. And once you've got that foundation, that bedrock of your values clarified, the next layer is understanding your priorities. The word itself, priorities, gives us a hint, right? It relates to prior, what comes first. So priorities are those specific things, could be people, activities, beliefs, tasks that you consciously decide to give more of your time or attention to compared to other things.
Ah, okay. So this is where it gets really practical in the day-to-day, isn't it? Values are like the deep underlying currents, maybe more stable. And priorities are how you navigate the surface, deciding which current to follow right now. So values are the constants, but priorities, they can shift.
You've got it exactly. The source makes a really crucial distinction here. While your fundamental values are generally pretty static, they tend to be stable over your lifetime. The order of their importance, your priorities, can change. And often they do. Priorities are more fluid. They're often influenced by what's going on around you, sometimes temporary situations or demands. And that's a common trap, actually. People sometimes treat their priorities like they're set in stone, just like values, and that can cause a lot of unnecessary stress when things inevitably change.
That makes so much sense. Like, you might deeply value both, say, family and achievement or education. Those are core values. But if maybe a family member suddenly needs significant help, your priority might temporarily shift towards focusing more energy on family than on a specific academic goal. Even though both values are still really important to you, one takes precedence for that period.
Exactly right. The text uses a similar example, balancing the value of achievement and education with selflessness and family. It points out that how you juggle these potential conflicts is really a direct outcome of your current priorities. Understanding them helps you decide when, for instance, an educational goal simply has to take precedence for a while. Like when you're diving into a college course, especially a foundational one like your Gen 101 class that's setting you up for future success, it's about knowing where to strategically put your focus and energy at different times.
Okay, so values are the compass. Priorities help us navigate the immediate waters based on that compass reading and current conditions. Now, how do we turn all that internal clarity, the values, the priorities, into actual concrete action? This brings us to the idea of setting effective goals.
Right. This is where the abstract thinking starts to become really tangible action steps. Goals, as the text explains it, can exist on different scales. They can be pretty small, very immediate. Okay, tonight I am going to write one extra page for that paper. They can be medium term. I am going to really work to get an A in this specific course. Or they can be much larger, looking further ahead. My goal is to graduate near the top of my class so I can land a great starting position in my career.
And what's really interesting there is how those smaller goals aren't just like isolated tasks. The text points out they include and influence a number of other things that all work toward a much bigger picture.
Hmm.
It's like each small goal is a stepping stone, right? Leading you towards that bigger objective.
Right. Absolutely. And what's incredibly crucial for actually sticking with it, for having the persistence you need, is the power of motivation. The source really emphasizes this. A goal has to be something you are really interested in personally. That's what provides the real motivational drive. It makes a very important distinction between goals that are internally motivated, things you genuinely deeply want to achieve for yourself, versus ones that are externally motivated.
Oh, yeah, that hits home. Thinking about maybe goals someone else set for you or things you felt you should do. Maybe you did them to earn approval or avoid getting into trouble or maybe get some kind of reward, but it wasn't because you truly wanted it deep down. The text advises being intellectually honest with your goals. That's a powerful phrase. It really calls for some honest self-assessment.
It really does. Because while those external pushes can sometimes get you started, that deep, lasting drive, the kind that gets you through the tough spots, almost always comes from internal desire. And once you've hopefully tapped into that internal motivation, the text reminds us that setting the goal itself is best done with careful thought and planning. It's not enough just to want something. You need a strategy to actually go after it effectively.
So it's not just a wish or a vague hope like I hope I do well. It needs actual structure. The source mentions applying tested techniques and specifically calls out the SMART system for goal setting. Now, for anyone listening who might be new to that, SMART is an acronym. It stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. It sounds like a really solid framework for making goals.
Yeah, well,
Real, turning them into real action steps.
it's such a vital framework because it transforms a goal from just an idea floating around in your head into an actual blueprint for action. A properly set SMART goal gives you really clear criteria for what success looks like. It helps you track your progress along the way, and it makes sure you're focusing your energy in a way that's actually relevant to your bigger picture and achievable within a certain time frame. It's the difference between saying vaguely, I want to do better in this class, and saying something concrete like, I will earn an A in Gen 101
By studying for 2 hours every weekday evening.
and reviewing my notes for 30 minutes each morning, specifically aiming for 90% or higher on all quizzes and assignments by the end of the semester. See the difference?
Wow, yeah. That specific example makes it crystal clear. Much more powerful. Okay, so let's quickly recap this deep dive, especially thinking about your first week's material for maybe that Gen 101 Developing Skills and Strategies for Success course. First, you've got your personal values. They act as your foundational compass, right? Guiding your core beliefs, shaping your direction.
Then, building on that, you understand your priorities. These help you focus your limited time and energy effectively. They help you manage those inevitable conflicts between different demands, knowing when you need to put your educational goals front and center, especially during a focused period like a college semester.
And finally, you translate that clarity into action by setting motivating goals. That's your concrete map to academic success. And you use tested techniques, like the SMART system, to make those goals real, measurable action steps. Not just wishes. These aren't just concepts to, memorize for a test. They're genuine skills and strategies for success. They'll empower you not just in this first college course, but really throughout your whole academic journey and probably beyond that too.
Absolutely. It's really about building a strong internal framework for yourself, one that helps you navigate challenges effectively and also helps you seize the opportunities that come your way.
So as continue moving through your first course, maybe especially that Gen 101 class, here's something to think about. How might consciously checking in with your personal values and maybe adjusting your priorities as needed help you not just achieve your academic goals, but actually truly enjoy your college experience, making it feel less like just a list of tasks and more like a genuinely fulfilling adventure you've chosen?